Right Honorable Speaker, His Excellency the President, and Honorable Executives, all protocol observed, the House. Constitutional instruments of the Electoral Commission of the Students' Representative Council of the University of Ghana Distance Education for the conduct of the 2022 University of Ghana Distance Education SRC elections, presented by Adzoa Betylda to Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, UGD SRC. The Electoral Commission has agreed that this document shall be named CI-19 and thus represent the constitutional instruments for the conduct of the 2022-2023 University of Ghana Distance Education SRC election. This constitutional instrument, CI-19, shall be the legal document to regulate and govern the conduct of the 2022 SRC election and the year 2022-2023 academic year. In exercise of the powers conferred on the Electoral Commission by Chapter 6, Article 37 of the Digital Constitution of the University of Ghana Distance Education, these elections regulations 2022 CI-19 were made this day of 20th July 2022. Regulations. 1. Qualification to become a candidate. 2. Nomination and application for nomination. 3. Vetting panel. 4. Voting process. 5. Declaration and publication of results. 6. Other rules and regulations. 7. Conclusion. 8. Table of schedules. 9. Names of members of the Electoral Commission. Electoral rules and regulations. The electoral rules and regulations for the 2022-2023 SRC elections shall be categorized into 3, and each of the categories listed below shall have its own rules and regulations accordingly. Pre-election regulations, election day regulations, post-voting regulations. Pre-election regulations. 1. Qualification to become a candidate. A student shall not be qualified for election to any executive office unless he or she has been a student as a distance student of the university for at least 1 academic year and must be in level 300. He or she is qualified to contest General Assembly membership in his or her class and SRC meetings. B. A person shall not qualify to be an executive officer, that is, the president and his or her vice, secretary, treasurer, and women's commissioner, if he or she, has been adjudged or otherwise declared to have misappropriated funds or conducted himself or herself in such a manner that caused depreciation in respect to loss, or otherwise in any cash or property entrusted to him or her, or has been found by any committee of inquiry to be incompetent to hold any office, or as a person in respect of whom a committee or commission of inquiry has found that while holding any office, he or she has acquired assets unlawfully, or defrauded the SRC, or abused his or her office, or willfully acted in a manner prejudicial to the interests of the students, and the findings have not been set aside on appeal or judicial review, or has once been removed from any student office on this campus. C. Without prejudice to any provision of the Constitution, a student shall qualify to stand and contest elections for any executive office provided he or she is not a final year student. Final year students shall be defined to include all who receive a degree or diploma or certificate awards at the end of the academic year in which elections are being held. D. Notwithstanding Clause C and CI of this article, a student pursuing a postgraduate course on this campus shall be qualified to stand and contest an election, provided that such a student pursues this undergraduate course on this campus and within 3 years after graduation. E. A candidate should have an academic standing of not less than a CGPA of 3.0. 2. Nomination and application for nominations. A candidate for election shall pick a nomination form by sending an email to the Electoral Commissioner or to the Secretary of the Commission, Prince Mensa between the hours of 9 o'clock in the morning and 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and the hours of 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or before the close of nomination. B. A candidate must apply for a nomination form at a non-refundable cost of 300 cedis. Payments must be made to the Commission's Treasurer, Honorable Ebenezer Nanapejo Addo. C. All nomination forms shall be received from the Electoral Commissioner on the Commission Secretary, or the Commission Secretary, Honorable Prince Mensa, through an email that will be provided for interested candidates. D. Nominations shall be filed in respect of the executive officers to the SRC, to wit, the President and his Vice, Secretary, Treasurer, and Women's Commissioner. The nomination form for the President shall have a column for the name of the Vice President that he or she intends to appoint. E. The Electoral Commissioner shall have the power to delegate the issuance of nomination forms to the Honorable Member, Honorable Prince Mensa, who in turn shall issue them to prospective candidates through an email or hard copy. F. For such nominations to be valid, they must be supported by at least 5 genuine students, UGDE students only. However, each student's signature shall not support the nomination of other candidates for the same position. Provided further that if such a situation should arise, the Electoral Commissioner shall give the candidates involved not more than 48 hours to secure fresh signatures or forfeit their candidature. G. After all signatures have been attained and application failing completed, the candidate must submit the application to the Electoral Commission by email via an email address communicated to the nominees by the Electoral Commission only, or a hard copy. H. The Electoral Commission shall receive and acknowledge receipt of nomination forms on the stipulated dates for the receipt of nomination forms. I. Upon submission of nomination forms, candidates shall submit forms through an email to the Electoral Commissioner by copying the Commission Secretary and the Commission's Treasurer, or submit a hard copy to the Commission Secretary or the Chairperson of the Commission. Prospective candidates will make payments of prescribed filing fee as set out in the table of schedules to the Commission's Treasurer. The prescribed fee must be paid to the mobile money number stated of the Commission's Treasurer and Second Deputy Electoral Commissioner. Okay, nomination is subject to rejection if they are not filed and signed correctly. Vetting panel. The vetting panel shall comprise of I, the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and 1 Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and 1 member of the Electoral Commission, and 2 members of the General Assembly, and 1 member of the Executive Committee nominated by the Executive Committee of the SRC. 3 other students of this campus invited by the Electoral Commissioner. B. The nominees shall be vetted to ensure that they fully satisfy the provisions of the Constitution and the Electoral Commission's regulations, while ensuring that they understand completely the nature and duties of the office they wish to contest. Nominees must come along with 9 copies of their CVs and 2 copies of their passport pictures. The vetting committee shall publish the list of qualified nominees who will be known as candidates. All aspirants must attain 60% of the vetting results to qualify as candidates of the SRC election. The vetting panel shall hold the right to disqualify any candidate who does not satisfy provisions of the Constitution, the Electoral Commission's regulations, and understand completely the scope, nature, and duties of the office they wish to contest. A person can be deemed a candidate only after he or she has been vetted and duly passed by the Electoral Commission. An applicant may withdraw his or her candidature by formally writing to the Electoral Commissioner and copying the Commission Secretary. Withdrawal should be made before the day of vetting. Balloting of places of sport. Candidates shall converge at an agreed location directed by the Electoral Commission to facilitate the process of balloting for individual spots on the ballot screen and paper. For the above, all candidates shall be present at such balloting without the involvement of any representatives or assigns or supporters, whatever the case may be of the candidates in question. The ballot process shall be done in the presence of all the candidates candidates together with the electoral commissions. The Electoral Commission shall, after the close of this exercise, communicate officially to the student body on the spots picked by each of the candidates and how they shall appear on the ballot screen. This shall be preceded by an agreement sheet, which shall be signed by parties involved in above related to the outcome of the ballots. No candidate shall, under any circumstances, announce his or her spot before the official release of the Electoral Commission in that regard. Such an act may attract severe sanctions or spot fines, which shall be slapped on the offender. Spots picked through the balloting shall not be subject to any further modifications. Voting process. Voting will be done electronically. There shall be no voting by proxy. Each voter will be required to go through an online verification process before casting his or her vote. Each voter can and must vote once. Voting will be by secret popular vote ballot. Election day regulations, mode of elections, hybrid system of voting, strictly online voting for other center students, strictly online voting for level 100 to 400 students of University of Ghana distance students in other centers. For the avoidance of doubt, online voting means voting over the internet, electronically. Only students from other centers of the University of Ghana Distance Education shall have their database stocked up for the online voting. Voting shall be conducted in a free, fair, and transparent manner and will be by secret ballot. For the avoidance of doubt, the process through which a student or an electorate shall exercise his or her franchise on the day of elections shall be as follows. A link will be circulated to students together with a unique generated code for each person through students' email. This code is exclusively tied to the student ID number of each electorate. That every student ID number will be linked exclusively to one generated code, which will be sent via mail to the electorate or student. Only students from other centers of University of Ghana Distance Education can access this link to vote. In essence, a student can use his or her code to vote only one time. Upon arrival, the voter shall be duly verified by electronic means, which is by entering student's ID number into the link to authenticate his or her studentship. Students then proceed to key in the unique generated code and vote for their preferred candidate for the respective portfolio, and upon completion of the step, the system automatically logs out students. B. Strictly on-site voting for Accra Learning Center students. Strictly on-site voting for level 100 to 400 Accra Learning Center distance students. In-person voting. Additional rules governing voting activities on the day of voting. Generated codes will be sent via mail and or SMS to electorate students 3 days before election day. For the avoidance of doubt, this provision is to make room for students who may not receive the mail or SMS to file a complaint about the same code to be resent. This should be done in not less than 24 hours to the election day. The complaint should be sent to the official contact of any of the electoral commissioners. On the day of the election, only the electoral commissioners reserve the right to cross-check at all times, as and when electorates are voting, and to ensure that only members of the university, distance students from other centers, are voting and that they have voted one time only. On-site voting for University of Ghana Accra distance students, in-person voting. Voting process, a step-by-step procedure. Only University of Ghana students from Accra Learning Center will have their database stocked up for the on-site in-person voting. Electorates or students are expected to show up at the polling station with their University of Ghana student ID, provisional student ID, or current proof of academic registration. An election official will process their documentation before the voters get their ballot. The ballot contains the list of candidates running. The order of appearance as determined by the EC in an open vote between candidates before the signing of ballots. A voter is expected to cast their ballot in secret. There shall be no noise making or chanting of names of candidates on the day of election. The accepted means is by clicking yes, no beside the name of the preferred candidate on the platform that will be given. Step 1. On election day, students are to go to the polling station within the hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. within their University of Ghana student ID, provisional student ID, or current proof of academic registration, and join the queue if any. Note, the protocol of the queue must be duly followed respectively. Step 2. A verification officer will then verify your identity with the verification machinery. Step 3. Make your way to the voting booth and cast correctly in favor of your choice of candidate. Step 4. Cast your vote in the presidential column. Step 5. Proceed to the next page to cast your vote for your choice of general secretary. Repeat steps 4 and 5 and cast your ballot for that of the treasurer as well as the women's commissioner. Step 6. A person after casting their ballot should leave the polling station. They can return at the close of polls for the count. 5. Declaration and publication of results. 8. The Electoral Commission shall be the only entity vested with the power to immediately after the election declare provisional results under the Constitution and shall declare the final results within 72 hours after the election. Furthermore, regarding this provision, the Electoral Commission shall declare a candidate as the winner of SRC President-elect when such candidate acquires more than 50% of the total number of valid votes cast. Other executive offices of the SRC to wit, Secretary, Treasurer, and Women's Commissioner shall be declared by applying the simple majority votes cast. This means whichever candidate wins the overall majority of votes for each position shall be declared duly elected. Where no president candidate scores more than 50% of the valid vote cast, there shall be a runoff election between the first two candidates with the highest number of valid votes casted in their favor within 7 days after the declaration of results. Also, for all other executive offices of the SRC to wit, Secretary, Treasurer, and Women's Commissioner, if there is a tie between the top two candidates for each office stated above, there shall be a runoff election between the top two candidates within 7 days after the declaration of results. There shall be an instrument which is executed under the hand of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the seal of the Commission. States that the person named in the instrument was validly elected as an executive officer at the election shall be prima facie evidence that the person was so elected. Where the election is postponed or whatsoever reasons, only candidates who were qualified to contest at the election should it have been held shall be qualified to contest. Complaints of electoral fraud and allegations of electoral malpractices shall be lodged to the Electoral Commission within 24 hours after voting for it to be solved amicably. Post-voting regulations, counting and aggregation of votes, both online and in-person voting, where applicable. Following the close of polls at a time to be determined by the Electoral Commission, the system will be shut down and no one allowed to vote. There shall be another interface set up during the elections to collate all voting results directly from all centers, where the Electoral Commissioners with one agent from each candidate only are allowed to monitor the trend online to prevent any form of glitches. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, only the Electoral Commissioners reserve the right to determine the strong room for the 2022 SRC elections. The agents of the candidates shall have their names submitted to the Electoral Commission 48 hours before election day. Agents herein referred to shall only serve the purpose of representation in the strong room. The essence of the convocation above will be to monitor the process and also be witnesses when the final results are being declared. This shall be done under tight security. The presiding officer, chairperson, together with the respective agents shall append their signatures on the statement of declaration sheet. The statement of declaration sheet contains details that shall be drafted by the Electoral Commission to capture the record of the total valid vote cast, the allocation for each, the total number of the spoiled and rejected ballots, and other details useful for the ballot counting. A polling agent upon satisfactory grounds, may refuse to sign a statement of declaration sheet. The result shall be declared nonetheless, yet only as provisional. The aggrieved or dissatisfied polling agent shall then have to file a formal complaint in writing to the Electoral Commissioner, stating his or her reasons for refusing to sign the statement of declaration sheet. Concerns raised in VIII above shall be thoroughly discussed by the presiding officer, the aggrieved agent, and the Electoral Commission to arrive at amicable resolution. Where it is determined that a claim of foul play on prima facie is indeed material, the Commission shall appropriate power to rectify any such anomalies. Where it is determined, however, that a claim of foul play on prima facie is immaterial, the Commission dismisses such claims on its merits. It is at this stage that the Electoral Commission shall formally declare the provisional result, both online and in person, of the 2022 SRC elections. The Electoral Commission shall publish the final results within 72 hours after declaring the provisional results. Miscellaneous and auxiliary regulations. Candidates shall be expected to read and conduct their respective campaigns in a fair, decorous, and reverent manner that upholds personal integrity, the obligation to duty, truth, and the tenets of the SRC Constitution, and all other rules, regulations, and statutes of the university. A special day shall be set aside for manifesto reading, which will offer aspirants the opportunity to communicate their agenda and vision to the student body. Aspirants on that day shall be allowed to post their manifestos on various social media platforms, so to communicate their policies to the members of the university. Mode and stipulated time for this activity will be communicated by the Commission to all aspirants. Aspirants are to notice that manifesto reading shall be any time after the close of nomination and should be ready to answer follow-up questions from students regarding their policies. Candidates shall begin campaigns after certain results have been officially announced, and campaigns cease a day before election. No campaign on election day. Towards the elections, candidates who knowingly and unknowingly, mischievously and recklessly, negligently and casually engage in subtle or overt acts in the form of schemes, misrepresentations, and other uncouth behavior to malign the Electoral Commission, its officials, its processes, its regulations, as well as other candidates and the SRC as a whole, shall be subjected to severe sanctions and prompt disqualification where deemed appropriate, as the Commission encourages decorum at all times. At any given time, where the conduct of a candidate is found to be in violation or breach of any provision in this document, the SRC Constitution, the statutes of the university, and any other applicable regulation, the Electoral Commission shall, in consultation with the Office of the Dean of Students, reserve the right to disqualify such a candidate. Without prejudice to this constitutional instrument, the Electoral Commission shall, as and when necessary, adapt relevant procedures and methods to execute its functions, provided that such measures shall be consistent with the SRC Constitution and be relevant in ensuring the best outcomes that deepen democracy, ensures peace, and guarantees accountability. Activities prohibited on polling day. During the hours when the poll is open on polling day, no person shall, within 400 meters of any polling station, seek to influence, in whatever manner, any person to vote for or against an issue or to ascertain for which answer any voter intends to vote or has voted. During the hours when the poll is open on polling day, no person shall, within 400 meters of the polling station, sell any intoxicating liquor. A person who contravenes subsections 1 or 2 or uses any form of abusive words or assault or intimidates anyone on or before the election day is liable and tantamount to a summary conviction of a minimum fine determined by the Commission. State security will deal with such persons as well. Electorates are encouraged to leave polling station right after casting their vote. Students who wish to vote but arrive at the polling station after 5 p.m. will not be allowed to vote. Unauthorized voting. A person who knowingly votes at a polling station at which he is not entitled to vote, or a person who votes more than once at an election will be subjected to several sanctions by the Electoral Commission. Prohibition of disclosure of vote. A person who has voted at an election shall not be required to state for whom he has voted in any proceedings questioning the election. No person shall lay hands on the electoral commissioners. Such persons shall be convicted to a fine of 5,000 cedis. In addition, state security automatically has the right to deal with such persons in their discretion. No all student groups or persons shall come near the polling stations. State security automatically has the right to deal with such persons in their discretion. Any person who destroys any election material shall pay in a full amount the price of the material. Offense by election officers. Willfully prevents a person from voting at the polling station at which he knows or has reasonable cause to believe the person is entitled to vote. Willfully counts a ballot paper as being casted for a candidate whom he knows or has reasonable cause to believe was not validly cast for the candidate. Such official shall be duly sanctioned. Conclusion. It is the utmost conviction and hope of the Electoral Commission that this document shall be profitable and instrumentally relevant for supervising and conducting the 2021 SRC elections in a free, fair, credible, and transparent manner on parity levels. Table of schedules. Proposed electoral calendar. Opening of nomination, Saturday, 6th August 2022. Closing of nomination, Sunday, 28th August 2022. Voting day, Saturday, 3rd and Sunday, 4th September 2022. Manifesto reading, Saturday, 10th September 2022. Voting, Saturday, 15th October or Sunday, 16th October 2022. Filing fee, portfolio, President and Vice President, 1,500 cedis. Secretary, 1,000 cedis. Treasurer, 1,000 cedis. Women's Commissioner, 1,000 cedis. Names of members of the Electoral Commission. Betylda, Chairperson. Emmanuel Kwekunimo, First Deputy Chairperson. Ebenezer Nanakojo, Second Deputy Chairperson, Treasurer. Prince Mensa, Honorable Member, Secretary. Rama Abekan, Honorable Member. Right Honorable Speaker, the House.